Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn. Hello, welcome everybody. Baruch Hashem, we are here with another systematic Avodah initiative for Farbengen, and the one sefer that is not near me within arm's reach. Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Give me a second. Well, actually, that hasn't arrived, but I will tell you exactly what it is so you don't buy it on Hey Teves. Okay, so I'm sure everybody knows we have our systematic Avodah initiative, which is this. It's a program, and this at this current time of the year, we have at this current time of the year, we learned from this book called The Chassidische New Year, and a huge shout out to Ruta and to everyone involved in making it happen. It has all the instructions in the front. It's a book that Living Chassidus compiled and published on our own, so it's very, very cool. And the last quota was actually a little long because we didn't have any SAI Farbengens during Hanukkah. We had a Hanukkah party, but we didn't have, or a Hanukkah event, but we didn't have SAI. That said, I'm sure everybody's done their reading on the history of Hey Teves. So today, instead of talking about the history, we are actually gonna take it to the next level. We're going to discuss the idea of Weiss Svarim, of having a house that is filled with Svarim. We're going to discuss the concept of a very Living Chassidus style, which is that books are not meant to just be on the shelf. Not only what?
I buy it for others. It's like
that's very nice.
So they're not on the shelf, but she's not reading.
She's not, exactly. It's on somebody else's shelf, and they're hopefully reading them. Anyway, so those are some of the topics. But since the topic title was Confessions of a Bookaholic, I will begin by saying, hi, my name is Michal.
Hi, Michal.
And I'm a bookaholic. Be'ezus Hashem, when the time comes that we have an entire ginormous house, then I'll have even more space for more of our Svarim. And I'm very, very, very excited to expand our bookshelf space. It was actually a discussion we had today. We looked around, we're like, okay, where are we putting more bookshelves? So, Baruch Hashem, I do enjoy books, but that's not how it started, actually. Being that it's confessions and you want to hear all the juicy details, I will start from a bit of history in my own life. I will say that I do come from a family of bookaholics. That said, I was not one. I really wasn't. My grandfather, incredible person, was completely surrounded with reading material, whether it's books or whether it was the newspaper or whether it was whatever. And going to visit his house or him and my grandmother's home was always so exciting because there's always some paper, something, like he always was reading something. He had like newspapers all over, or he had articles and books, and he was constantly speaking about reading. A very interesting part is that he was also very medoyik to not ruin the book. So there's a joke in my family, my immediate family, that when I first married my husband, we realized in our marriage that we have different priorities. So his priority is that the book shouldn't close on him while he's reading, and my priority is that the spine should stay intact. So the first time we were learning from a sefer together, and he goes and he opens and it goes crack, and I'm like, ugh. Like I literally.
No,
So again, there's no right and there's no wrong. We just have different priorities.
So how did you discuss this in terms of Sean bias?
we're gonna go down the Shalom bias route for a second. Well, the first time it happened, I actually kind of freaked, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you broke my safer. He's like, what do you mean? But it's meant to stay open. Like if you leave it on the table, it shouldn't just close by itself. And I'm like, no, you have to hold it very gently. So then after realizing that, we realized in many different aspects of our marriage and of our lives that there is no right and wrong. There's just different priorities. And I hope to give you.
So what did you guys like? What was the middle line there?
So the middle line is that we now have 2 copies.
Oh, wow. You definitely made Michal do that case.
No, honestly, for certain things, if we are learning together, if we're able to have 2 copies, we do. But if not, he tries to be extra gentle with the books that are, not that we have mine and yours, but like there's certain svarim that like I know he bought it, they're his, like he's the one that uses it, so he'll open it until it goes and then it'll stay. But if he realizes that there's a sefer that's really meaningful to me, he's extra kind and careful, and he doesn't make it crack. He just holds it gently. And then sometimes if we are sharing a sefer and it is mine, so then I hold it so he doesn't have to hold it, because then that really drives him crazy to have to hold it in the whole time. So yeah, that was the solution to that. So anyway, so I really feel like I got that in big part from my grandfather. My grandfather was always very careful with his books. He was always very careful not to like doggy ear the pages, because then that piece gets all folded. And so he really gave me, even though it was never, I don't remember it ever being like a topic. Like he never sat me down and said like, let me teach you how to use books. But I just, from living around him, I always learned that aspect. Then came my mother, and my mother, Baruch Hashem should venture it with a lot of nachas and good things and only revealed brachas. Her entire life, or at least my entire life of seeing her, there was always at least 1, 2, or 3 stacks of books next to her bed. Like there was her nightstand, and then there's like next to her, either on her nightstand or next to her nightstand, just stacks of books, and she's constantly going from one to the next to the next to the next. She also has this incredible skill that she reads super fast. Like I know, Amen. I've been trying to learn from her too. But I actually haven't. Okay, I'll tell you about that in a second, about my reading. We're getting to all the confessions one at a time. So really seeing her just like devour books was such an inspiration to me. That said, growing up, I read very slowly. It was very hard for me. And it was also hard for me because this is not a confession, because I'm sure you guys all know that, but I'm a huge extrovert. And in order to read, you really have to separate yourself from others to make the time and space to focus on the book, as opposed to hang out with your friends. So reading, I always felt like I didn't like it because I wasn't so fast at it, and it was tedious, and B, it's so much more fun to hang out with friends. So my entire high school, I really didn't feel like I was enjoying reading, and I didn't really I never connected to like, wow, this is so enjoyable. So I would not have called myself a bookaholic then. Then came a time period where I appreciated, and this came together at the same time when my life was kind of shifting to okay, I'll give some history. A lot of my early exposure to like in-depth Chassidus came from Maimonides Friedman. That was like, first of all, the Chabad house where I grew up, it's his oldest son. So
we spoke by my Michal. I know.
Oh, cool.
Wait, what's that?
No, I don't.
Really good at that one.
Okay, Baruch Hashem. Birmingham, Alabama.
Yeah, that was it.
That's so funny. It's super.
Really good.
Oh, really? That's so cute. Didn't even know that. So anyway, so a lot of my exposure to like Chassidus, not just Chassidus in like, this, like, like when the rabbi stands up and shul and he gives like over a dvar Torah and really it's a sikha, but like he tells it like a, but like, no, more like in depth, like more like taking a sefer, opening it up and like delving into it, was with Manis Friedman at different programs over different years. So I got used to the style of not just reading this esoteric concept, but really relating to it and bringing it down into practical application. And I thought that's just the norm. Like, that's just what we do. It's obvious. And then I went to seminary and I learned from different teachers, lots and lots of different teachers. And not everything was taught with that same style. And it really was a shock to my system. It was a shock to my system to learn the same Tanya. And at one stage, it seems so applicable and it seems like, wow, I'm changing my life thanks to the lessons in Tanya. And then at a different stage in my life, it's like, oh my gosh, this sounds like Chinese. There's like no, this is hard to like digest and hard to implement. So I went through like a big identity crisis during this time period of my life where I'm like, how do I do the style of learning that I'm used to doing and not get stuck in the style of learning where it's just like esoteric concepts, and like, how do I make that practical? And that,
what was the difference in the way that you were being taught? You were being taught with a sefer when it was practical and without when it wasn't?
I was being taught with a sefer both. When a teacher takes that extra moment to not just read what's there and take it as face value, but really take a moment and say, what does this mean to us? How does this apply in my life? Like the concept of yichud Allah and yichud tata, like, okay, it's a concept, but then when you learn a certain mimer and it explains how to apply that in a marriage, the concept of being vulnerable and being one with your spouse in differing levels, the depth, and like to take that extra moment to make it practical is an extra thing, sadly. I mean, hopefully over the time period, it's 10 years of living chassidus, I hope we've done a good job at like teaching this to people and encouraging them to take it further for themselves. But anyway, at the time in seminary, it wasn't so clear. I didn't feel like it was taught in that same style. And again, this is before like Simon Jacobson came up with like his Chassidus Applied. Like Meaningful Life Center was like a small thing. The Chassidus Applied didn't even exist. So this is like 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Chassidus in the way that it's learned has gone a long way over the last several years. But anyway, so that contrast in not learning it in the same way as I was used to kind of threw me on this like new path. And once I got after seminary and I got engaged and I got married and I didn't have living chassidus to come to, and I didn't have regular learning, I felt so deprived. Not only did I not have learning in a practical way, but I didn't even have learning in a non-practical way. And that's what led me really to turn back into this farm. So even though I was the social butterfly and hanging out and but that lack, that yearning to reconnect to chassidus and yearning to learn, the only option I had was farm. The only option I had, especially back then, was the beginning of like the Chassidic Heritage series. Like by then they had like 4 Maimarim, maybe. No, a few more, but it wasn't the vast library that we have now. And that kind of kick-started me on my reading bookaholicism. And I think having that process and realizing that I didn't always have this, I wasn't always like this, books were nice. And I did have it modeled in front of me. Although not everybody in my family was a bookaholic either. It was just mainly those two people. But that mixture and then that real deep desire to connect, to learn, to re-inspire, then led me to the books. Does that make sense? Then I reached another point, which I think this was discussed earlier, about my speed of reading. Good tip. I started during this time period, which is like early in my marriage, probably like second or third year of my marriage. I was doing, no, it must have been my fourth. I was taking a lot of different courses because that was kind of like the beginning stages of living Chassidus. And I couldn't afford to pay for a graphic designer. But if you don't have a graphic, and PS, this is like years before Canva. Like there was no Canva option whatsoever. So I couldn't afford to pay a graphic designer, but I had free access to all these online courses. So what did I do in my spare time? I would learn graphic design. I would learn photography because I realized if I don't have good pictures of our events, so then there's nothing to put on the design sometimes.
How did you have free access?
It's a great story. Basically, my sister-in-law was a student in university, and she was able to share her access to. It's like have you heard of Lynda? Lynda? Lynda.com. Anyway, it's a great place. So she had like access to like 2 logins or whatever. So she's like, hey, you can learn. So I learned a ton. It was like my spare time was spent gathering skills. And at the time I was working at America's, so I sat right next to the entire design team. So every time I would design something, I would go over and like, hey, can you help me? And so then they would spiffy it up, like they would like add that last little touch to make it like bam. And that's how I really got an eye. Like it's not, on the one hand, it's the skills to be able to like put the right things in the right places, but then it's also an eye to like, just that last anyway. So that's how I got my design mashpia. Shem Bencher, she's amazing. So I was scrolling through what other skills can I gain from this incredible course program, and they actually had an entire course on how to read faster. Yes, way.
That's actually so cool.
Yes, you could learn that. There are courses out there that help you read faster. And one of the things that they did, it was a lot of different tips and a lot of different skills, which is great, by the way, because now I use many of those skills with my kids in Korea. A lot of different skills. In the beginning, for example, one of the things they do is they make you follow with your finger, and it seems so ridiculous, but when you get used to it, you actually, the more you do it, it's like pages and pages and pages worth of just following with your finger. It trains your eye to not get distracted.
So you even read now with your finger?
No, so I don't anymore. Although if I'm in a rush, I do read with my finger. If I need to cover ground quickly, I do read with my finger. Another tip that they gave was to take a piece of paper and cover, like once you're done with the reading with the finger, you take a piece of paper and you cover the line to the next line, to the next line. And it trains your eyes to focus on exactly where you are, as opposed to like, we get distracted. We really do. It sounds ridiculous, but we really do. Yes, when you focus on those skills, it makes you slower in the beginning because you're not used to this. But the more you practice it, it makes you read faster. Yeah, so I learned a lot in that. I took an entire course, and I'm like, great, now I can read faster. Any other tips? There is actually a website. I think it's called Accelerator or something. And what you do is if you're reading something on a screen, so you can't really follow with your finger or cover with the paper, it's like a little weird. But basically you take it, you copy paste it into this website. And what it does is that it flashes one word at a time. And then you slow down, you start with a slower speed. And then at the end of a paragraph, you take a break and you're like, okay, did my brain input? Like, did it stick? and then you can make it quicker and quicker and quicker, and you actually get quicker at just picking up the words that are like accelerator. I'm pretty sure it's called accelerator. I'm pretty sure. So anyway, cool tips. Confessions of a Bookaholic. So anyway, so that was really a huge help, because not only did I have the deep desire to get the information that's in the books, because we live didn't, it wasn't what it is now. It was a group of friends having a share once a week. It was a little different. But now I had the skills to be able to do it in a more effective way, and I felt really empowered. The next step in my bookaholism was really appreciating the stories, and a lot of it had to do with being able to share it and being able to see that other people enjoy the lessons that I've learned from it. So I started a chlata that whatever I read on Shabbos, like usually Shabbos morning, either before davening or after davening, or even Shabbos night while my husband's like in shul, I usually read, like that's my big chunk of time to read. I really enjoy that. So I realized I was having a hard time remembering and like retaining the concepts. So what I did was I took a chlata that at the Shabbos meal during lunch, I would share what I've read. I would share something. It didn't have to be the whole thing, but like something exciting that I lived with or that I really enjoyed. Many of the Living Chassidus members that used to come to our table during these years actually still mention that they remember some of the like concepts or divrei Torah or whatever that I shared, and I don't even remember half of them, but I'm glad and that was the beauty. I'm glad that it was so impactful for other people. So my reading also had this like added piece of it's able to be spread and able to inspire others as well. So that was the next stage, and then the joke comes that I should get a table in the back of Kahus and be their salesperson. So Baruch Hashem, it in that sense that has been quite a journey. I will share that a really good piece that I feel has made a big impact, and I feel like some people have mixed feelings about, depending on which type of book. But I got these, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to share it with everyone. There's a pen. It's called Frixion, Frixion, and it's a pen, and it writes like a pen, works like a pen, but in the back it actually has an eraser, and it erases. It is the greatest. They have an entire line of pens, highlighters, markers, whatever. And it feels like a pen, writes like a pen. Everything about it is a pen, and then you can just erase it. So I started gathering by Hashgacha Pratis. I got these pens, and it made it much easier and much more enjoyable for me to actually underline concepts in books that I really enjoy. First of all, because I grew up, as I said, with my grandfather's mindset about books and taking care of them. So I felt really terrible. Yeah, we should probably close the door. I'm freezing too. Ask you a favor. Am I closing the door, please? Thank you. Anyway, so because I had this fear, I actually got in trouble once in high school. The professor told us we have to highlight inside the book, and we have to take notes on the margin about what we're highlighting about. And my like grandfather in my head was cringing and basically like crying, and I'm like, I can't do that. It was really funny. So then I had to have a whole speech with my professor, and then he convinced me, and then I have never looked back since. It has been great.
I feel like I connect with the book more if I can like draw over it.
Right. So this has made me more like you. And I actually, they sell them. It's an erasable pen. Yes, they're the bomb. They actually sell them everywhere. They sell them on Amazon. They even sell them on Zaycons. I was like, what? I was so excited. Yes, so you can totally, and they have highlighters. They have all kinds of cool things. So that has given me my pass to be able to write and underline and do whatever I need without the pressure of, oh my gosh, I've destroyed the book, because then I go back. If I really destroyed it, I can go back and I can erase it. It seems a lot less permanent. But anyway, so the concept of having this deep desire to get the chassidus, to internalize it, to really make it mine. And now I had the skills to read faster. I had set times during my week or day. Now, for example, it's one of my big celebratory things that if I get to bed at by a certain time, then I bring a book and I sit and I read my book, and it's just like such a delicious treat, and it makes it very enticing to go to bed earlier. So all those pieces added up, but I think one piece that I want to discuss, because I feel like it holds a lot of people back, is the content. I used to have a really hard time finding books that I enjoyed reading because I was grabbing the wrong type of book for the wrong type of time. There are certain books that have really deep, beautiful, and meaningful concepts. But if I'm reading that before bed, or I'm reading that at a late time during the day, my brain is a little fried, and then I'm not enjoying it. So then it doesn't feed my desire to do it again, because I'm like, okay, this flew over. So that began my next stage that now looks more like my mother. So now I have stacks of books. So I have certain books that are more easy reads that I enjoy during the nighttime. And then my other more heavier reads, I actually try and make a priority to set a few minutes, even if it's just 10 minutes or so before I daven or sometime in the morning, to take the time to focus on those, because that's when my brain is sharp and I'm able to really focus. So for example, I have over the last few months, thanks to a big shout out and a thanks to Ruta's inspiration, on her Shara B'tachon hachlata that she took and she so beautifully completed. So I started going through the white Shara. Like I had learned remember the little pamphlet that we had learned? Oh, sorry. Yes, not the little pamphlet, whatever. A few years ago, we learned the little pamphlet, Shara B'tachon, but now, there you go, we'll do show and tell. Now that we have this incredible sefer, so I took on to learn as at least like they have like little sections. So like at least a section, if I don't even have time for a section, so I just read 1 or 2 paragraphs. And also they have those really beautiful, it's at the bottom line, like here on the bottom, they have like a section that's like 1 or 2 lines that like really, oh, here, I'll show it, that really inspire, and they give like a bit of a summary of what's being said. So this, for example, if I learn it at night, it's just not gonna feel fulfilling. It's gonna be really hard, especially because if I try to give a boost of bitachon when I've already gone through a hard day, it's a little harder to internalize. But if I start my day with a nice gigantic boost of bitachon, or even a small boost of bitachon, then the rest of the day goes much smoother, because I'm like, okay, just reconnect. Hashem's in charge. Hashem's taking care of me. So those types of books I read in the morning. And the other types of books, which I really enjoy, and oh my gosh, I can't believe we don't have any here. Yeah. Oh. Okay. So it's the same author / compiler. This is one of his books, which I really enjoy. And I actually need to celebrate. Okay, one thing at a time. So he has a great series, which I learned that I enjoy reading at night, on biographies on people. So I absolutely used to detest biographies. I thought they were the most boring, dry, historical, like whatever. But he does an incredible job at making it, writing it as a story, writing it as like kind of like a novel-ish. And I've learned so much. I don't know if you guys know, there's like a certain section of my bookshelf that's like all of my favorite books. And 99%, well, I think almost half, if not all, over half of them are from this particular author. His name is David Zaklakovsky. He's actually I don't know. He's he runs the Hasidic archives, and he actually spoke for us. So if anybody wants, you can check out the recording on our YouTube channel or our Spotify or podcast, whatever. So he spoke for us last year, 2 years ago. I can't remember. There you go. 2 years ago on Hey Teves. Rita knows. And he actually spoke about his process. He spoke about his process of how he gathers information. And I actually absolutely love his books. Oh, yes.
I feel like people who like fiction are a little bit left out.
People
Like, I'm feeling very uncomfortable right now because we're talking about like really inspirational books and I really enjoy fiction.
Which part of that's fine. I'm saying which part of fiction, like
maybe just like the story, like rich characters and like interesting twists. I'm not so much into like the should voice save the day genre, like the world is
that's why, like, by the way, that's why I was asking, because I'm like, there's different levels of fiction. Have you read any of his biography books?
Not yet. What are some of them?
They read similar,
Okay.
but it happens to be that the guy's alive. Or okay, so rewind. Okay, 1 second, one thing at a time. First of all, I want to give Mazel Tov. It didn't arrive yet, but every single person who did their quota, did their reading and their journaling, will be receiving the latest book on, feels like fiction, but a Reb Mendel Futterfass.
But the Kamala one, right?
Yes. Oh, there you go. Baruch Hashem.
It's not comic.
It's called My Gulag. No.
Yes, My Gulag Life. Oh, can I show it on the screen? Thank you so much.
Oh,
I've seen it.
Yes, I loved it. We will show it on the screen in 1 second. And Baruch Hashem, every person who did their quota and their readings will receive a copy of My Gulag Life. It is so good. So the beauty in this is I really enjoyed it because, first of all, Reb Mendel Futterfass he's such a topic in Lubavitch. He's such a like name, like a name brand. And when it came down to it, there was very little I actually knew about him. They have a DVD of him basically telling his stories, but he only speaks in Yiddish and Russian. So I ended up not being able to understand most of it. It was really cool just to watch him talk. But then I had this very, very strong desire to learn more about him, and there really isn't much written. So this book did a beautiful job because it has a section. First of all, as you can see, it has pictures of his family and his family members. It's really beautiful, and like they take really, Rabbi Zaklakovsky really takes a very good care to like scan all these photos. So it has the history of the time period, and then it also has the lessons and stories that he Farbengen or he spoke about, or he literally learned a lesson from everything. Like, the concept of the Baal Shem Tov, that from everything experience we go through in life, there's a lesson for us. So he really took that to heart, especially going through such a struggle in life and being able to do that. It's really, really powerful. So everybody gets, yes. Oh, sure, yes, please.
Is he the one that says a story about like soldiers?
Okay.
Those soldiers' blood shut up in a pot, like knowing that he was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's in here actually. Okay, so the people that get this incredible book is you. Oh. missed that memo.
Wait, I also do.
Yay!
Was it posted?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't write it. Okay.
Okay, well,
You can do it now.
Tula. Yeah, I'll just say your name. Esther Malka Cohen, Bracha Zirkin, Nati Darman, Esther Citron, Chaya Mushka Weinstein, Bela Kalandurova, Ariela Zuckerman, Rachel Schmerling, Sima Deshevsky, Chaya Liebman, Yehudis Chernovsky, Rachel Greengrass, Gula Nutik, Dvorka Belovitch, and Ruta Cohen. And Ita. I know you could. I know. Anyway, so you guys all get this, and whomever didn't yet make their quota, thank you so much. But anyway, so just to finish off with your fiction before you walk out 2 seconds, there are really great fiction books, such as that. There is a historical aspect to it, but whatever.
I like historical fiction, and I like not having to use my brain. Like, I love to learn concepts, don't get me wrong, but I like to read and just like be able to enjoy and like not have to work.
So I would go into the biography section.
As an avid fantasy reader in my non-Jewish book phase, the biographies of people, it's great.
And like, you find it interesting, like.
It's
yeah,
really
yeah,
because he didn't make it cut dry, and there are other authors that are also good. Yeah, absolutely. Shadar, the Chassid, the businessman. I should have brought literally that entire section of my bookshelf. So, okay, so Subota is another. Yes, he didn't write that, but Subota is definitely just.
I like that. I like that.
Okay, so that style, it reads similar, it reads like a story. It just happens to be that they're real people. Anyway, just to finish that off. Which one? Yes, Samarkand.
It's totally the opposite of Subota.
Like
Subota is like hard concepts.
yes, Hillel Zaltzman. Subota is also Netzach.
I don't know, it's just really heavy.
Whatever. His exactly, it's not David Zakowski. Yes. But I'm saying there are really good ones. There's also another one called The Underground. I forgot. But anyway, there are really, really great ones that make it easier to digest, and it reads like a story, and it feels like, but you're still learning. And what I love about it, it's like I have this terminology. I recently spoke about it with at the Living Chassidus older married ladies Shabbaton. I have this terminology called pre-chewed Chassidus. Sometimes we don't have the brain to like chew it ourselves. But when you see these Chassidim and you read their stories and you read how they dealt with that struggle in life, it's a Chassidish concept, but now it's already applied. And it's a much easier digestion, if that makes sense. Exactly. They did the work for themselves, and now it's written so you can also enjoy. But that style, another version of that, which isn't a story, it isn't a biography, but certain books such as Sarah Blau's Close to You, that's like it's Tanya, it's straight up Tanya, but it's written in a very pleasant way. Or her newest book, I don't have it here, but it's amazing. I definitely suggest it. It's called Thought Streams.
You might go to.
It's so
I literally just looked at it.
it is so good. We gave it out actually at the Shabbaton for all the ladies that came to the Shabbaton. Anyway, so there are books like this that have the same beauty of Chassidus, and you learn it and you internalize it, but it's not as heavy. Exactly. Although making time for certain heavy things is also a good thing. Figuring out what time works for you. For example, I have plenty of people that I know in Living Chassidus that have a chavrusa. They have set times to have a chavrusa, and that's when they tackle those heavier things. I have to give a shout out. I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name out loud because whatever, but there's someone who may or may not be either on the Zoom or in person who has Kanai Nahara several kids, and she makes time for chavrusas at least once, if not twice a week.
Who is this? So curious.
Let me see if she lets me say her name. Okay, whatever. Anyway, kol kavod, and I really I really give a shout out to that because you set that time to deal with those, not deal with, but you to really internalize the deeper chassidus. But when you do it with a charusa, it's just so much more enjoyable and so much easier to talk it out and bring it out. And then if you have a really good charusa that you really feel connected and you're able to be vulnerable, you're also able to take that and say, hey, I'm actually going through a struggle. Can we figure out how to implement it? It's good stuff. So yes, yeah, that's basically the I think we've covered many of the genres. Finding the right time for you. If reading slower is a thing, you can definitely find courses. You can definitely, I'm sure YouTube even has like free stuff that like how to learn to read quicker. There are tons of tips. I gave tons of tips from the course that I took. If setting a time for it is hard, so then go through your schedule and see when can I squeeze in. Honestly, for me in the beginning, it was like, okay, I'll just put a timer for 5 minutes because I want the knowledge that's in there. I want what's in there. I just don't make the time and priority to do it, to get it. And to be honest, I think if anyone's ever heard me Farbengen at any point in time in the past, 99% of my knowledge, other than the fact that I do actually, Baruch Hashem, attend all the Living Chassidus events. And so therefore I get to learn from incredible speakers and incredible lecturers that come and speak right here in this same chair. But a big chunk of my life and my life lessons and the wisdom that I've gotten is really from books. It's really from taking them, reading them, internalizing them, and then sharing that with others. And I think the beauty of Hey Teves and the beauty of this whole winning the battle, against what was happening with the Svarim is that other than celebrating, and I'm sure you guys know the history of this, but after a while of the Chassidim dancing around and singing Dira Notzach, it was probably about a week, if I remember correctly, the Rebbe came out and said, "No, why do you think we got the Svarim? Go sit down and learn them." So really, it's not just the buying the Svarim. It's not just singing Dira Notzach. It's not just having a L'chaim and having a Farbengen and celebrating the fact that our Rebbe, our generation. This is the equivalent, so to speak, of Yutas Kislev for our generation. This was a big deal. And I'm not a.
Oh, there we go.
I'm not an LOR.
Again, there's always like the coffee stuff.
Yeah, there are tons of chassanim, yes. Baruch Hashem. Mitzvah Hashem, there should be even more. All of your chassanim should be the reason why 770 doesn't say Tachlin. Anyway, so back to the point. Other than celebrating and other than being happy and proud and other than, wow, all these books that I want that should look so beautiful on my shelf. Oh my gosh, sorry. I have to make a parenthesis right there. There was a time period in our lives. We've gone through a lot. My husband and I have gone through a lot of different jobs, businesses, whatever. And then Baruch Hashem, we've in our search for our ultimate shlichus, which is Living Chassidus. And at one point we had what to do with binding svarim, like leather binding or whatever. And I remember once Rabbi Heller the Mail, he's an incredible shliach of the Rebbe, like amazing. And he calls us from the store and he says, there's this like multi-millionaire that he managed to convince to get a bris. And after he got a bris, he said, well, your house is so beautiful, but it's missing svarim. So he brought him to a bookstore and he convinced him that he needs the entire set of Shas in large print. It's not a cheap purchase, but he was fine. So his only complaint was he didn't like how the spine looked in his bookshelf. So he needed it to be leather bound of a specific color. So other than wanting that the spine should look a certain way in our bookshelves, right? Really, 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 it's the good stuff between the two covers. You know, that's the stuff that changes your life.
1 minute, did you guys like change the bind for him or something?
No, it was too big of a project for our
Did they get it done though, or?
I think he did.
Wow.
Yeah. He probably went to like, you know, like the places that they make the tallest bags or whatever. I don't know.
Probably would have paid $1 million.
Yeah. It was really funny. But anyway, so so that's a chunk of what I want to say. The other piece is that don't let the book pass by. Like really take a moment. And sometimes, for example, with my Gulag Life, I actually forced myself to read it a bit slower because I realized that I was just like eating it up because it was so good. I was just like devouring page after page. And I realized at the end of the day, I'm not going to remember these stories. And the message, once it's internalized in your brain and it's internalized in your middays and it's internalized in your life, that's what truly changes your life. And I live the living Chassidus model, which is that I want that every single day and every single time I learn Chassidus, I read a book, I read some sort of biography, Chassidish something, I'm starting to look at the world through Hashem glasses, starting or continuing or whatever. And that it should change my viewpoint, my perspective, my entire everything on the world. And in order to do that, sometimes we have to take a moment and say, what did I just read? Share it with a friend. If it's your roommate, share it with your roommate. If it's your whomever, take a moment and let it sink in. Let it change you. Let it make an impact. And if it's something that like really rubs me wrong, I'm like, okay, I go to my husband. I said, can we please have a Farbengen about this? Because like, this is clearly Torah. It's just not settling well with me. So I need to learn something to put on my new Hashem glasses version from this. So I want to give everyone a bracha that you should take this Hey Teves. Don't just buy the books, internalize the books, read the books, let them change your life for the good. Let them add to your Hashem perspective, to your Hashem glasses, so you're able to see your life and all of the whatever challenges. As Hashem, you shouldn't have any challenges, but if you do have some challenges, see them from Hashem's perspective and get the tools from Chassidus to be able to not just overcome them, but see them as a lesson and take the lesson from those challenges. So, l'chaim, didan notzach. We should continue to be successful in our Torah learning and in our internalizing of Chassidus. Chaim.
I just have to say.